Good morning, everybody. It's Monday, March 17th. Happy St. Patrick's Day. Mackenzie, are you Irish?
I am. How did you know?
I don't know. Just wild guess. I'm a quarter Irish, believe it or not.
Oh, really?
Yeah, just the quarter that is associated with my outrageously pale and translucent skin.
Oh, yes, yes.
Um, in any case, the markets are higher. They're green today in honor of St. Patrick's Day. May corn futures up 5 at 463 and a half. May soybeans up 3/4 of a cent at 1016 and 3/4. May Chicago wheat up 12 at 569. May Kansas City wheat up 16 and 3/4 at 602 and 3/4. May spring wheat up 12 at 613 and 3/4. We've got a meat exporter story to start. Let's go there.
So, hundreds of U.S. meat exporters have lost authorization to export to China. Nearly 1,000 beef, pork, and poultry processing and cold storage facilities granted access under the Phase 1 trade deal saw their export licenses expire on Sunday. There is speculation that the licenses weren't renewed because of ongoing trade tensions between the U.S. and China. The impact is projected to result in losses of $4.1 billion for the beef industry and $1.3 billion for the pork industry. The US was China's third largest meat supplier last year, accounting for 9% of total imports. Meanwhile, China's recent increase in inquiries for Australian beef has fueled speculation about a broader strategic shift in its trade policies.
Ballpark statistics for you. Of domestic beef production, we export about 11 or 12%. Pork production, we export like 30%. And poultry production, we export about 15% of total production in the United States. China is among the top 3 importers of all of those products. So, what are we supposed to make of this?
I think this is a fairly big deal. It is China retaliating, and they know where to hit us where it hurts. And there was a note though in this article that there were registrations for some 84 plants that lapsed back in February, and they
Mhm.
are still accepting those imports. So maybe they're
Interesting.
not going to cut these off right away. But this is still incredibly worrisome.
I wonder if the market reacts to this at all on when livestock opens later today.
I don't know. I know everyone talks about the fundamentals being so strong and, that's going to keep powering it through. But if we don't have anywhere to go with our beef, and I know we don't send all of our beef to China, but
No.
it's still worrisome,
I don't think there's going to be a reaction because I'm looking
Mm,
at the timestamp on this article. I mean, this was out Friday morning.
right?
So if they didn't react to it, then I not what did cattle do Friday? We'll
They were
fast
higher.
forward.
They were
Okay,
higher, yeah.
so fine. So they shrugged it off. As it relates to some of the other trade, soybeans, as it relates maybe more so to our crowd. This isn't a beef or livestock show, of course, but we've still got 50 million bushels of unshipped old crop soybean exports to China. They haven't canceled anything yet. Maybe that's something that's coming. Maybe this is along the same lines, but I think that this is interesting to see what China is doing in the midst of the trade war.
Wheat futures trade sharply higher early this morning. The complex is led by HRW contracts, although SRW and HRS futures posted double-digit gains as of 4:30 Central Time. Russian consulting group ICAR trimmed its Russian export forecast last week, leading to ideas of improved export demand for US wheat. In news that is perhaps related, US wheat export sales were strong last week. Weather forecasts call for only minimal rain for US HRW wheat country and slightly better rainfall for US SRW wheat country.
Pretty crazy price action. So we saw a dollar sell off from that February high to the early March low, and now we've got back 60 cents of it very quickly. The weather forecast is less than ideal for US HRW wheat country, and US HRW wheat country is in those dark green areas on my map. If you guys are watching on the right side, you're looking at Kansas, you're looking at Oklahoma, parts of Texas into Colorado, a little bit of Nebraska. SRW wheat country is more like your Illinois and Indiana's, those places in the Midwest. I think they're going to be all right. And then you've got spring wheat up north and in North Dakota and Montana and the PNW. They haven't planted that crop yet. So I think the reason HRW futures are leading the way probably is because you've got a dry forecast. You've got a crop that's emerging from dormancy. Our friends at Crop Profit had this map, and winter wheat in total, the winter wheat crop in total is supposed to see 94% of its normal rainfall over the next 14 days. But I bet if you were to narrow that down to the HRW crop, it would be much less the way that the maps look. So lots of volatility in the wheat, and the wheat's actually leading the grain complex higher early this morning.
Brazil's soybean harvest is progressing at a faster pace than last year. According to consulting group Patria Agronegocios, 66% of this season's crop has been harvested, up from approximately 62% at the same time last year. Brazil's crop agency, CONAB, is projecting a record harvest of 167.4 million metric tons, while the USDA has the crop pegged at 169. These record projections have been made despite hot and dry conditions in Brazil's southern regions. Last week, well followed private group Ag Rural estimated that 92% of Brazil's second and larger corn crop had been planted.
Despite some of the chatter about the drought in southern Brazil and the impact, I think you're very clearly still looking at a record Brazilian soybean crop. I mean, harvest is you're 2/3 done, and things look pretty good. Now they haven't gotten into the south yet, I guess, so maybe we don't know how bad the yields are going to be. The corn crop and the second corn crop is going to be the next big deal for Brazil. Brazil is 10% ballpark of global corn production. The United States is still king. 31% is the projection from USDA. Looking at the maps here, I'm not seeing anything super problematic with regard to the second corn crop. Our friends at Crop Profits say that the second corn crop will see 76% of its normal rainfall over the next 14 days. So a little bit drier than normal, but not a disaster by any means. And if you look at the map and look at production density of that second season corn crop, I don't really see a problem as of right now. But that's something that I suppose if you see the right or wrong weather type story could result in some corn market volatility.
So, if you guys have not checked out our premium content, you sure need to do so. Joe, can you tell me about Friday's premium video?
How familiar can you be with the corn situation? Are we tight or are we loose? I ran through what I thought were the 9 most important supply and demand charts as it relates to corn, both domestically and globally. I did a lot of breakdowns by like this country has this amount of ending stocks to use ratio. These countries combined have this amount of ending stocks to use ratio. I'll tell you this before you guys sign up and look at the charts. Um, Corn situation is tight domestically, globally. I know that the market wouldn't lead you to believe that. And I think there are a couple of reasons for that. I made a PDF download available here so you guys can download these charts and print them off and look at them if you want to. In today's video, Paul Neiffer is going to join us to talk about some tax stuff. That's actually one of our upcoming stories. If you want to see the premium stuff, go to standardgrain.com. You can sign up this morning. It's a $50 per month subscription. You can cancel at any time. No other fee, no other obligation. Nobody will try to sell you anything else. You can sign up in about 30 seconds on your phone. We do Apple Pay, Google Pay, Cash App, credit card. Everything is easily accessible on your phone. You can read the emails. It's just one click to play the videos. There's no login instructions or anything like that. Give that deal a shot this morning, guys.
The funds greatly reduced their net long position in the corn market last week. CFTC released weekly commitment of traders data on Friday. During the week ending Tuesday, March 11th, large money managers were net sellers of 74,000 corn contracts. Over the last 3 weeks, the funds have slashed their net long position by 227,000 contracts. The funds were net buyers of 17,000 soybean contracts and 6,000 contracts of SRW wheat on the week.
I'm lazy and I didn't do my homework, but this selling spree that we've seen over the last, call it 5 weeks, the funds have liquidated 240,000 contracts worth of net longs since February 9th. That's got to be one of the larger liquidation events on record. But for the moment, the market has stabilized. We're trading a little bit higher this morning. Are they going to totally liquidate and go short or flat? I don't know. Seasonally, like I would think that maybe you want to see some U.S. weather and conditions before that happens. But you know what? We're in a trade war environment and anything can happen. The market's really as good as the next headline.
President Trump plans to cut federal income taxes for individuals earning less than $150,000 annually. In a Fox News interview, Commerce Secretary Howard Lutnick said the administration will first balance the budget before implementing these tax cuts. To achieve this, the administration intends to reallocate $1 trillion from waste, fraud, and abuse spending while generating an additional $1 trillion through the sale of Trump's gold card. Lutnick stated that he would like to see the budget balanced within 2 to 3 years. Currently, the bottom 90% of U.S. taxpayers earn approximately $150,000 or less. Collectively, those taxpayers contribute $531 billion in federal taxes, accounting for 24% of total federal tax revenue.
Okay, so Paul Neiffer, the farm CPA, is going to join me to discuss all of the potential impacts of this today because it's super interesting. First off, I mean, I think this is fantastic for the people, and I think we're overtaxed. That's my opinion. There's a lot of other like potentially negative impacts though. What about inflation? If you give the people this much more money, I mean, this is like the equivalent of the COVID stimulus stuff on steroids.
Mhm.
It's probably inflationary. How do we fund the government? Do you really are you gonna be able to offset all of this through tariffs and through gold Visa cards? I don't know. That sounds kind of far fetched. Do you want to be short risk assets? You want to be short the S&P 500 if this happens? Probably not. I think this is a stretch, but you know what? I'm going to take Trump halfway seriously on this and take the. You can't say it's impossible. You can't say it's
Right.
impossible with the overhaul that's going on. I think it may take a while, like he said. So he said we're only going to do it if we balance the budget.
Yeah, they have to balance the budget first.
All right. Well, let's see that, and then
Yeah.
we'll go from there.
We had two flash sales on Friday. U.S. exporters sold 9 million bushels of corn to unknown destinations for delivery during the current marketing year. U.S. exporters also sold 20,000 metric tons of soybean oil to unknown destinations for delivery during the current marketing year.
U.S. corn doesn't really have competition on the export market right now. We're the only game in town. Brazil doesn't really have much to offer. Ukraine doesn't really have much to offer. We're selling soybean oil, I think, because I mean, we were told a couple of years ago we would never export soybean oil ever again, and now we are because of the lack of biofuel policy and guidance, which we hope is forthcoming. But I haven't heard a peep about it in a long time. We talked about cattle, but what did cattle do on Friday, real quick?
Live cattle were 30 cents to a buck 12 higher. Feeders saw gains ranging from 27 cents to a buck 75. Cash cattle trade was higher. Up here in the north, cattle were $3 to $5 higher compared to the prior week at 205. And then down in the south, cattle sold right around 202. That was $5 higher from the previous week. Box beef was lower on Friday. Choice was a buck 42 lower at 318.27, and select was 115 lower at 306.32.
Outside markets are pretty quiet. Stock market's off a little bit. Crude oil's up a little bit. Everybody have a wonderful day today. We'll be back on Tuesday.